Welcome to BamBam-O-Rama.
Welcome to BamBam-O-Rama. We got the schmeats.
We got the
Hello,
schmeats.
and welcome to the BamBam-O-Rama podcast, where we don't give a fuck about your misophonia. You know what misophonia is?
No.
You don't? Okay, so this is weird because it's apparently a genetic marker that you can find out if you have via 23andMe. But it is when, you know, people who complain about chewing noises.
Okay.
You were smacking when I was saying hello, which I don't care. Yeah, so people who, that's apparently called misophonia, and apparently it's a genetic thing. Like, I always just thought, I had friends growing up, and they'd be like, oh, I can't sit next to you. You too loud, blah, 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 like complaining about it. I also had a friend when I was like in first grade who, and now as a first grader, I probably chewed louder than I needed to, but I don't think I was worse than any other first grader, you know? But he like all the time would be like, you need to stop smacking. Like, he would freak out on me. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. Because I don't know much about social norms when you're 6. You look like a supervillain.
I am.
You are?
Mm-hmm.
What's your goal?
I'm going to stop all the loud chewing motherfuckers out there with their excuses. Their bullshit excuses. Why don't you just learn how to eat like a fucking human being, decent human being, and learn how to appreciate other people next to you? Right. No, just kidding.
I don't care if you're in first grade.
6-year-old? More like fucking excuses. Excuse-year-old. I have that.
You have misophonia?
Yeah, it pisses me off. But I was also taught when I was young that things are bigger than me, right? So I've learned to never talk about it. The biggest reason was because my brother used to, in my head, smack.
Yeah.
And that was when I first,
Right.
And yeah, I'm, my mom was like, "What are you doing? It's your fucking brother,
right?
Let him fucking eat." And so, from then on,
I appreciate that take, though. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand we can't always control what bothers us. We can manifest some things. We can make ourselves like or dislike certain foods. I think we talked recently about things like that. Like, I used to hate broccoli. And in fact, I still don't really like broccoli, but I have broccoli 5 times a week because of weight loss goals and because I've convinced myself that it's so good for me that I can stand to eat it. You know what I mean? Sorry, I asked a question. I didn't even let you answer.
Yeah.
That was fucked up. That's fucked up with me. Sorry. But yeah, I think, you have you have misophonia, you have whatever. I have the stupidest phobia. I have chiclophobia, which I can't do much about because everybody in the world chews gum except for me.
I'm about to buy some of that, like, Roman gum, too, for, like, jaw. I'm serious. Yeah. Mastic gum?
For those of you who don't know, chiclophobia is the fear of gum. For me specifically, it's chewed gum. And really only bothers me when it's disposed of in certain places. Like, I know some people who've, like, came over to the house and they're like, oh, my God. And they take their gum out and they throw it away. And I'm like, dude, it's not that bad. It's just, when we eat, if you're going to be the kind of person that wants to save that gum, please save it in a way that I don't see it. Because when I look at it chewed, it's going to gross me out. But I always ask and I'm polite about it. I'm never an asshole about it.
No, but first off, if they're going to save their gum, it's not the 1800s.
Right?
You don't save your gum anymore. If you were irresponsible enough to put brand new gum in right before you ate, you're an idiot. Throw the gum away.
That's true. But I do feel like people who have misophonia kind of tend to feel like the world needs to bend to them. Don't get me wrong. When I was a child, I was taught that it was rude to smack. And also, I understand. What am I trying to say? No, it was rude to smack, and I understand that. I try not to smack. However, if I'm eating a very hot piece of pizza or pasta, there's quite likely that I'm going to accidentally make some kind of chewing noise because I was foolish and I should have waited for my food to cool down a little bit more. You know what I mean? Now, the only reason I brought it up today was because, like I said, you were kind of making smacking noises when I was saying hello, and I thought it would be funny. I mean, I don't personally care.
Have you ever seen the ice cream taster video. It's kind of like a classic. I think it was like an old what was it? What was it? 60 Minutes, remember? Tuk, 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 tuk. And they'd like show you 60 minutes of something fun or something crazy or whatever. I think it was one of those, or it was one of those how it's made, where they show the background. Anyway, it's the ice cream guy, and he's like, and then you put the spoon upside down, inverted. He's like trying to get real technical about it.
Yeah, I think I have seen that video. He's crazy about it.
And then you that's what I was doing.
Dude, I just want to say, I know we're not a wrestling podcast, and I know we make a lot more wrestling content than we should, but last night I saw this match. You remember FTR was at the Vegas.
FTR?
They wrestled against Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. FTR. It was the tag team championship match. Do you remember that match?
I mean, I'm sure if I see them, but go on.
And Jeff Jarrett. Yeah. Not Jeff Jarrett. I'm sorry. FTR and the Bullet Club Gold last night on Collision, which is AEW's new show. They did an hour-long best of 3 falls match, and it was incredible. And I was like, again, I'm sitting there, I'm like, this is pay-per-view level talent. This is a pay-per-view level show I'm getting to watch on TV. And I haven't yet gone and looked, but I guarantee there's someone out there bitching about how they had to watch a tag team match for an hour last night. And I'm like, no, you were awarded that. Like, how are you not appreciating it? Because you can't make anybody happy. But I was sitting there and I was like,
the more that I've researched wrestling, the more I've found that the wrestling community is the most toxic community that I've ever started looking into.
100%.
In so many ways.
100%.
Every single one of them thinks that they're the ultimate fan and they have the right answers. It's pretty god awful.
I know.
Then the answers are like even worse than some of the fan theories.
Dude, it's bad. That's why when I stumble upon reasonable wrestling fans, I really enjoy having those conversations, because the rest of the time, if you're talking, especially if you're looking at Facebook posts, like the Facebook wrestling community is toxic as fuck. And you're right. That's probably the most toxic fan base out there, especially when you pinpoint it to Facebook.
Well, I know I told you, but part of, doing all of this, I had to start learning wrestling because I don't know anything about it, to start making references, as we try to progress in that sketch series. Yeah. But then on Facebook, I found one. It was something like Pro Wrestler, very generic, wrestling fan book name. And I was like, cool, I'm going to apply to this page to be part of it, and then start joining the community and start chatting. And then it gets to the approval, like a disclaimer / page where you have to go back to Facebook and read their rules and stuff. And it's just talking about Chris Benoit, who, if you don't know, folks, he murdered his family.
Yeah.
And then in the description, they're like, we're only Chris Benoit fans. We only talk positively about him.
I remember
get
you
the
telling
fuck
me.
out if you're not a Chris Benoit fan. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to decline this, or remove my request from this.
Yeah. I forgot you told me about that. That is fucked up.
While I don't know anything about the guy or, his troubles or anything, whatever, let's say there is some sort of redeeming evidence that I could never know about, I'm not going to associate you.
No. There's not. And I know you and I have had this discussion before, but I remember, and you know who Paul Heyman is. Some backstory on Paul Heyman, because you know him as the manager who just talks every once in a while now. He used to own ECW, which was a wrestling promotion. Or I don't know if he owned it, but he ran it. Like he was the Vince McMahon of it, And he had Chris Benoit at one point in time. And I remember he was at some Q&A and someone asked him about Chris Benoit recently, and he was like, "No,
shut it down." Yeah,
he was like, "No, we're not going to have this conversation." He was like, he put it blankly. He was like, "In-ring talent guy was amazing, one of the best I've ever worked with." But the fact of the matter is, 3 people died the night he died, and only 2 of them, or only one of them, made the decision to die.
Yeah,
and I can't stand behind any of that.
Right. Yeah, I actually have seen that little snippet.
I mean, I think that snippet is a wonderful thing for anyone to see, wrestling fan or not. I think it really puts in perspective how we should view people and their troubles and their actions. that makes any sense. To get on something lighter, I do like your supervillain look. So if you were a supervillain, we already talked about, you're gonna get. Wait, what did you say you were gonna get rid of?
All those loud smacking,
Loud
eaters.
smacking. So how are you gonna do it? What's the plan? Monologue for me.
First, I'm going to take a billboard and I'm going to write on it, "Stop smacking, you motherfuckers!" Then I'm going to get some commercials and they're going to have people eating the sloppiest of meals. Yes, spaghetti. Yes, macaroni. All of the pastas. Even some cereal. And then we're gonna have a little baby eat it without smacking. Like, look, even the little baby can do it. God, I couldn't even. I don't have enough energy to do that right now.
That was good though.
Thank you.
That was fun.
I did some mustache twirling in there, folks. So you're gonna have to go watch the YouTube version for that.
Yes, to appreciate that, you're gonna really need to watch the video version of that one.
Yeah, I really did lean into it.
So, what's your favorite supervillain or type of supervillain?
Oh, well, I definitely am gonna end up with a Disney villain because Disney villains have a reason.
Yeah,
they have backstories. Like, legitimately, okay, I could see why they're a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, not only is that dangerous, Disney, thank you, but I think that's a good little dink, on the villain tag. Plus, they're just funner. Everyone hates the Disney villain, but they don't ultimately hate them.
They don't ultimately hate them. You're right.
Like, you would think, power wise, right? Jafar is probably the ultimate bad guy power of Disney, just because of the genie. When he gets the genie,
he becomes a genie, and a genie, in at least in Aladdin lore, a genie is the most powerful thing in the world, right? Or being.
Well, I mean, that's Disney, so it's like,
does that translate to all of it though? I mean, you also got Hercules on one end too, so there's like gods in that one. I'll be honest, I haven't seen the Disney Hercules. Don't hate me.
I'm gonna go with yes, because even in other mythology, genies can do things God can't, right?
Really? You're right though.
Isn't that true?
I think you're right, because, and I'm not as familiar with.
I mean, I'm not saying I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm not as familiar with Greek or Roman mythology, but I do feel like those gods are limited to, like the power that has been bestowed on them, as opposed to, like, when, not to get religious, but you have like the Christian God that is all powerful, right? So I do think where you're coming from, though, I do think that a genie probably has more power than like a Greek god.
And that's what I'm saying. Right. That's the difference between good writing, right?
Yeah.
So you got and let's just kind of like do like a DC Marvel thing, right? So you got Marvel, they got Captain America. He's pretty still down human, but he still has all of the genuine humanity that we want in a personality. Right. But then he has his physical limitations, because the reality is there's no such thing as this ultimate being, right? And then you get DC, where they're just crazy, like, we can't fix our own problems, so we need Superman, and he's got to be the best, and if he's not the best, then, well, we're gonna lose. And those are the Christians, and then you got the Buddhists. And so you just got bad writers with people that just believe that. I mean, I remember reading the thin books whenever I was in junior high. You can still read those if you want, but then you can go read the real books and more books, and then you get better writers.
I agree with that.
I mean, it's not even creative at a certain point. I don't understand how you still okay.
So Jafar, is that where you is that who you're landing on?
I mean, there's some yeses and nos, because in the end he's a really douchey character, so I don't want to, like, do I have to embody that?
I'm not asking you to do that. Yeah, I'm just asking about your favorite. Not who would you be. Just who's your favorite villain? Sure. Or even type of villain.
Favorite villain?
Yeah.
Ooh. Favorite villain. I mean, Mojo Jojo.
Mojo Jojo is good.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Mojo Jojo is my favorite villain.
He's fun to watch
because he's silly. Plus, the Powerpuff Girls are just a lot. That's underappreciated show in so many ways.
Very underappreciated. I want to get a hold of the leaked script from the
movie.
Was it a movie or a TV show? Either way, the live action. There was a leaked script, because they apparently shut it down. I don't know if it was because of COVID or what, but apparently that script is also very fan fiction-y. Like it gives the Power Girls might be yeah. Yeah.
They might be what?
They might be not just regular sisters, but like scissor sisters.
Oh my god, dude. Get out of here.
That's what I heard. I remember back in the day, people were like, "We shut it down," and then someone was like, "I've seen the script.
So
it's dirty."
Here's my thing about that. The closest thing that we have to Powerpuff Girls physical definitions, they all look the same.
Oh yeah.
It's hair color and eye color.
Right, yeah.
So they're closer to being identical clones with spontaneous different powers than to being sisters.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. They're technically clones of each other and not sisters. Technically.
So if they're scissoring each other, that's pretty hot.
That begs.
But that's even more like, no, get out of here. Plus, they're children. Who's writing that?
Oh, I know. I don't think it was like blatant, like, oh yeah, we're gonna have Bubbles and Buttercup hook up. But I think it was like giving that tone, like if you read the script or watched it, you might have been like, I feel like they might have just fucked. Like
I'm not falling for it anymore, man. I watched Nickelodeon. None of that was blatant, right? Until he got caught. That shit's blatant. Fuck that.
I get that.
I'm kidding.
But you're right. Powerpuff Girls, super underrated. I remember doing a rewatch of the Powerpuff. I didn't even get that far. But so I rewatched the original Powerpuff Girls series, or started to, a few years back, and the first villain that's introduced is him. And I didn't realize as a child. I realized as an adult, him is fucking terrifying. No, not even that he's a tranny. Him is terrifying. They got like 3 voices going on at the same time. I think 3. I know 2 for a fact. There's one real deep and one real high. I think there's a couple in the middle too.
I would have picked him if it wasn't for the fact that Mojo Jojo becomes sensible sometimes.
Yeah. But him was terrifying. I remember watching that rewatching that first episode, like I said, as an adult, and I was like, "Oh, like." I was like, I'm creeped out. Like I was like, and as a kid, I thought this was amazing, and no, even as an adult, I thought it was amazing too. But yeah, I didn't realize how terrifying that villain was. So, just the fact that you brought up Powerpuff Girls reminds me, him is probably up there on my list. Yeah, fantastic universe. I think, as far as Disney villains go, though, I think Cruella de Vil is probably, I understand she doesn't have that many powers, but I think she inherently is the most evil villain.
Did you watch the Cruella movie or whatever?
No, I didn't. I really need to. I would like to. And I'm a big Emma Stone fan.
Is it called Cruella?
It's just called, it's either Cruella or de Vil. It's not Cruella de Vil.
No, I don't even know if it's called either of those. It might just be called 101 or some shit.
We got computers in
Emma
we can figure it out.
Movie Cruella. Called Cruella.
But you're right. I never watched that one, and it probably does give more of the backstory. But I do think. I'm
not defending. I'm just curious.
Yeah. The fact that she's just like, oh, I just want to kill these dogs and wear them. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Pretty fucked up.
Yeah. Also, something we put in a kid's movie. Like,
I also like Ursula's because kind of in the end, she's not really asking for much. She's just asking to be treated like everybody else in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
She's like, wait, you don't like me because I'm this fat chick, and then now you like me when I'm this skinny chick? It shows a lot of the fucked up shit.
That's true too.
But she's the bad guy.
I feel like Ursula was also technically trying to teach a lesson I mean, in a really fucked up way. Don't get me wrong, but I mean,
But
I don't
there's
think
people
she's
that
the.
do this, right? There's people that have made like fan film of what ifs and that kind of stuff of the opposite perspective.
Yeah. Oh, sure. And I mean, I think. Well, what's his name? The guy that wrote the. Because Wicked, before it was a play, was a book, or was it a play first and then became a book? I don't know. Either way, there's a whole novel series from a guy, and he did a novelization of Wicked. I'm just going to say it that way. I don't know if it was before or after. But yeah, he's taken a lot of those fairy tale villains and written a story from their perspective. Thank you. I don't know if he did Cruella or not, but I'm sure he did. All right, he might be on the docket for him.
I don't know. So it just kind of makes me think, like, I mean, let's take a modern villain like Vladimir Putin. Obviously, I'm against Putin right now and what he's doing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, what if you were stuck in Russia right now? You wouldn't have your same opinion.
No, you're right. I mean, yeah, there's a Superman storyline about that.
Oh, about him being the Russian-born, yeah.
Yeah, being
I
Russian-born.
watched a cartoon version of it.
Oh, there's a cartoon version of the Crimson Sun now? I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
watch
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Oh, there is. I remember seeing it. I didn't see it. I saw it I saw that through whatever. And I was like, I'm gonna watch that. And then I forgot. Because ADHD. So now that's good. I'm gonna try to make that something I watch in the next couple days. But yeah, there's that whole perspective. Like you're born somewhere else, and that does make you, or has the potential to make you a completely different person.
I mean, yeah, it literally does. The fact that people can't conceptualize past that, or then responsibly use that information to then change their perspective, is also a factor that is not happening with that.
Oh man,
especially because in countries and stuff, the mass population is not on board with it. Look at America,
right?
We're not on board with America,
no,
as a majority.
Now, I could be wrong, but I do feel like we are one of the most, and don't get me, there's China, and I know China is on the same page we are as too, well, ish, with what I'm trying to say, excuse me. So I think we are one of the most anti our own government countries out there right now. And then, like I said, France. I think China's right there too. Is France?
I mean, are they still protesting?
I have no idea. I don't even know what's going on in France. Not even gonna lie. I don't want to pretend. Right, it hasn't been on my TikTok feed.
One day ago, French authorities banned protest against police. Yeah, no shit, you communist regime going in there. What the fuck?
Wow. So France is protesting police, and their government's
give you just to give you a smidge of background on this, the French government decided that they wanted to get the average, because they have a guaranteed social retirement.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to change the age.
The government wanted to do that?
Right.
Okay.
And the people were like, no, fuck you. And Macron, right, was like, well, we're not going to be able to afford it. This is strictly financial. There's nothing we can do. Pulls the trigger. By the way, in the midst of this big thing, he's wearing a $50,000 watch as he's explaining that they can't afford this as a nation. And then he's like halfway through the speech, watch is gone when he comes back up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he realizes how hypocritical and how full of shit he is. And to me, that's the perfect representation of every government. This is why I'm not calling for any form of mass function. I'm calling for people to awareness that we need to fire the government based on the laws and the proper functions of firing each person in the government. But everybody that is in top 3 positions of their field, that goes from president and 3 tiers down. That's 3 branches of tiers. That's hundreds of people within this statement. So if you want more info, we can go through that. All 3 gone. We hire completely new people. I don't give a fuck if they don't know what they're doing, because that's how government is. Those motherfuckers don't know what they're doing. You think Donald Trump's friends know how to fucking run a government? You think Joe Biden's friends know how to run a government? You're making excuses for your own team. You're lying to yourselves. And if you don't agree with me, fuck you.
No, and you're
Our
right.
government's a piece of shit.
It is
both
right.
sides, blue and red. You're both wrong. Get the fuck out of our country. You guys are ruining it.
I agree.
You hard left and hard right assholes. You're the assholes.
But that is really, like, that's kind of the biggest thing that's going on right now, right? Is people are so anti-rich because the rich are really being as fucking selfish as they possibly can be right now. Like, don't get me wrong, I think it's very tragic that how many people died in the submarine?
Oh, 4.
4. I think it's tragic that 4 people died that way. That's horrific. But also at the same time, why were they spending that kind of money to go do that when there's so many other things they could have done with that money?
Why are we spending even more money to go save these people? I mean, I know to go save people is always right.
Yes.
But we spent so much more money on trying to save them than any inner tube, $25, $50 inner tube they could have thrown at those, poor people in that other sea. I know it's not our government that was responding to the same, but that's not the point.
Oh, yeah.
The point is that all of these governments are tied together. You guys are talking to each other. Fuck you.
Oh, yeah.
You guys are making bullshit excuses when we all know that it's all tied together now. Like,
Right.
come on.
And this kind of ties into something I did want to say on today's podcast, and I hope you're okay with this.
Turn it up.
Right? Just mute. No, the writer and actor strike, because
Yeah.
the actors have now joined it. I think most of them have been on board, but now the actors are going full force. It seems like a lot of actors are. I'm not going to say the actors, because I'm sure there's some that are like, no, man, I've signed a contract. I got to be at work. And I understand that. I respect that. But I know there are actors right now on the picket lines, not only fighting for screenwriters, they're also fighting for themselves, because CEOs of these production companies are making so much money and I think it was Sean Gunn that I watched today. He was like, these people, wait, no, I'm sorry. It may not have been Sean Gunn. It was Sean Gunn, or it was Hellboy. No.
Oh, Ron Perlman?
Ron
or
Perlman.
The newer guy?
Yeah, one of those two guys that I saw this morning. And you're right, I've shared you a lot of Adam Conover, so I know why you're saying that.
Yeah.
But it was either Sean Gunn or Ron Perlman, sorry. Specifically were like these CEOs who said they're just going to wait it out until these writers can't afford their apartment, and they're going to come back. Like, you guys are making so much money off of people's talent, and you haven't done shit. All you do is own the company. All you do is run the company. You're not giving these people ideas. You're not in the writer's room doing the work. You are the money, and fuck you, because you don't deserve what they deserve. And I'm kind of on board with that.
Right. So I want to just make some real quick argument points, because I know how this is going to go, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got, and I'm not gonna pull left, right. I'm just gonna speak plainly, and just give me a second when I do this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The perspective that people will have that is against what you just said is that these other people have earned this money, therefore they can spend it however they want. You should mind your own business. It's their money.
Right.
And what I want to simply say, if your dispute and argument to defend the rich is what I've just said, where you're saying, well, they earned it, they can do what they want with it, you're a beta bitch.
Yeah.
You are the beta. And I want to, and before you start yelling and turning me off, I want to explain what I'm saying so that you can try to actually have a conversation about it, because you are simply just accepting what somebody has told you. You're being a pushover for them. You're defending someone you don't know because you feel somehow tied to them. Maybe you do have a lot of money, and that's why nobody's attacking you, dude. Nobody said you personally, buddy, have these problems. So whatever you're internalizing, stop. Like, take a breath. Take a breath. We're not saying it about you. In fact, kudos to you that have worked your ass off. I look up to you, those that worked their asses off, because I tried to and I failed. I'm not gonna lie, I did. I fucked up. I made some miscalculations, but more importantly, I got injured and I couldn't work hard anymore. I didn't get an education for other reasons. It's my own fault, whatever you want to say. But the fact of the matter is working hard doesn't always pay off, right? Because then you get people shoved to the side whenever they get injured and dismissed as if they never existed. Yep. Right? That's a very big thing and real thing. So don't say working hard just pays off. It doesn't. You're full of shit. I did that. And if you want to say, well, you didn't work hard enough, well, you're an idiot too, because you weren't there, right? And if your excuse for everyone else is that you're not there, you can't judge it, then shut up about me, right? I'm using your logic about this argument, am I not? When I say you're being a beta, I'm not saying, well, you're just defending them. No, what I'm saying is stop defending people that wouldn't help you. stop defending people that would literally do this to you if you were their paycheck. Meaning, we all know you're not the top, right? We all know who I'm talking to is not the top of their game. So you're not that person. We all just admit it right to yourself, because this is a podcast you're listening. You're not that person. So stop having these hateful angles that don't defend you at all. And in fact, this is why we have such a divide in America. It's because no one's willing to have these little conversations and then just say, okay, I'm going to back off. That's why I admitted my faults in that, because I know my faults. I don't need you to be pointing it out in the argument against me talking shit about Donald Trump, you moron. That's not how life should work. And if you think that's how life should work, guess what? Bah, you're the sheep. You have fallen for the game, because now you're fighting against your brothers. And I know most of who I'm talking to believe in a book that talk about your neighbors being your brothers. So stop fighting with your family based on your arguments. Stop doing the evil parts, please.
I completely agree with you. And I think one of the best things you said in there was stop fighting for people who wouldn't do anything for you. Probably butchered that little quote that you had, but I think that was one of the best things you said right there, because that's the fucking truth. But I do think it's...
Go
ahead.
No, I'm just fucking around at that point.
I do think it is important. Like, and I will say this when it comes to the writer strike, because I know a lot of the actors and a lot of the writers are calling out the CEOs of these production companies. I will say this. I do understand that managerial jobs, running a company, is a lot of work. It does. And I'm not saying that they don't deserve a paycheck. And I'm not saying they don't deserve a big paycheck. I'm saying it's ridiculous that they get to make millions and nearly $1 billion a year, while the people doing the work that they tell them to do can't pay rent.
That's why I don't believe that this should be happening right now. Instead, what I feel should be happening is all of those small production company. And really, to me, if and I don't know enough about this to say it, but from an outside, and to me, the big problem is the union. Whoever's running the union is running the union as if it's been the union since the 50s. You got to run the union in 2023, my friend. And yes, a strike is working, but you got to start running a business too right now. Right now is the time to start whatever it takes to get those actors working somewhere else today.
Like on BamBam-O-Rama.
Like on BamBam-O-Rama. I'm serious though. That's exactly what I'm getting at. Right now is the iron. YouTube needs to be doing whatever seedy, under the table dealings right now to get every single actor their own channel with a guaranteed 50 for the first year. Everything. Everything right now needs to be happening for that. Carl Sagan, I think, had said something to the effect that America's going to change real soon as far as where we're getting our money from. And part of that's not going to be industry. It's going to be in the social market, I believe is what he said. And I don't, this is before the internet. He's just talking about, I think like popularity stuff because we make movies. I believe that. We're seeing it in evidence, right? It's the YouTube. I hate to tell you that there's a lot more money in that than even in your little oil field company.
Right.
And you can go look up Mr. Beast for one channel that will blow you guys out of the water in a lot of ways. But that's just one of hundreds that are doing high level. I mean, I know he's way higher than everybody. But.
Mr. Beast is the top, I think, right now.
But my point is that it's all revenue derived from commercials and such. It's ad revenue. So all of those actors could be somehow work. And I don't know the answer. If I did, obviously I wouldn't be, in my little apartment right now. But the foundation of the thought, I believe, is sane, and just right now the iron's hot to get those actors working in a different way.
I would like to see that happen. I want to see writers and actors make the money that they deserve. And I think the biggest problem right now is streaming services right now. I think that's what this is mostly about, right? Like Netflix and Hulu are mostly underpaying. I know that it's also big production companies as well, too. Writers don't make shit.
I don't know the pay scales on that.
Yeah.
I know that it gets pretty drastic from the bottom to the even lead writer. just based off watching some interviews and their descriptions of things. And the pay gap isn't just a problem at the top to the bottom over there.
Oh, I agree.
You know what I mean? In that world of pay, and that that comes from foundation.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's hand gets slapped. You got to admit it.
Mm-hmm.
Even you as an actor, your hand's kind of slapped because you're selling out yourself to that industry. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't, because you kind of had to, right? You're. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the turn of phrase is, but yeah, you're just stuck there, right? Either you do or you don't, and you're fucked if you don't. Because then you try the YouTube thing, and that's even more of a lottery, right?
It is. That's the thing that sucks on the YouTube side. It's a lottery. I'm sorry, Adrian. I have a little bit of a heart out today. I made lunch plans. Make sure you check out our live streams at 8:30 Thursday nights. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see y'all next week. See y'all Monday afternoon for the video cast. Is that right?
Yeah.
Bye.